Now to the Eastern Cape. The funeral service of Amapondo King Zanozuko Sigcau almost descended into chaos today when Prince Mbasa Sigcau reminded the mourners that there's a court order in place and that the kingship is still being contested. The monarch was laid to rest today. He died last month after a short illness. President Cyril Ramaphosa was in attendance. He delivered the eulogy at the funeral in Flagstaff. eNCA senior reporter Sipa Mandlagoge was there. He joins us now. Sipa, good evening. Thank you very much for chatting to us. Talk to us about this near chaos that almost disrupted the funeral.
Well, I guess if you speak to the other side of the royal family that registered their unhappiness, they will tell you that actually they did not intend to cause chaos. What happened was this young Prince Mbasa Sigcau took to the podium and said he wanted to correct something. He was unhappy with the order of proceedings, and people who were presiding over the funeral service for the departed Amapondo Kingdom, that is the late King Zanozuko Sigcau. He said, well, members of the royal family are known, but it appears, according to him and other unhappy royal family members, that the government decided to recognize a certain section of the royal family members, not including other family members, to preside over the preparations and the actual funeral service for the late king. So the unhappiness was about who should be recognized, who should be playing a leading role during the funeral service for the late monarch, and that is what really caused drama and chaos. I think it took a couple of minutes whereby, mourners couldn't believe what was happening, whereas the other side of the royal family applauded the young prince who took to the podium, according to him, to correct what was happening, reminding the mourners who had gathered there that actually there was a court order, according to him, that basically directs all government officials as to whom they should liaise within the royal family in preparation for this funeral service, but also beyond that. Let's take a listen to what Prince Mbasa said.
Things stand, there is a court order, Epumezol, against the president, against a few other respondents. They should deal primarily with the royal family. What we are seeing today is the decisions that Makul, you are dishonest. But needs futhi abantu aba dishonest ebuhulumenteni, because iyaziwa royal family eyonyula yambeka ubhuti. Today naba abantu they then choose to deal with abanye abantu ngezinto esingazaziyo. There is an acting king ikhona kula nantsika. Ndiyacela uxolisa, ndiyacela izinto zicorrect, because there is a fear yokuba if we do not present an opposing view, there will be the misconception that we are in agreement with this mess that we are seeing here. The royal family has a view, and that view must be respected. There is a court order, and the Minister of Culture and all relevant people are aware of this. So please, let us respect the royal family as things stand. Niyaz ba ikona, I want to put it on public record. Uba ikona, a royal family illegitimate. It can't be uba kulungiswe izinto kugcwele indlu amaphakathi that is still currently still contesting a kingship. Yet namhlanje they are the ones pretending to be representing us. Masibene honest kuyo yonke lento enzeka apha enkosi.
So what did the family of the king have to say about this?
Well, basically, they just decided to pay their last respects to the departed monarch. They decided to remember him as a unifier, as a beacon for development, as someone who believed in uniting the deeply divided Amapondo royal family and the kingdom. His children took to the podium and, basically decided to honor their late father. This is what one of his sons had to say.
He was a man who believed in giving people second chances. No matter how many times you betray or you do anything against him, he will give you a second chance. He believed in loving everyone and uniting people against all odds. He believed that you might have education, but if you are not educated, there's nothing you can do. He wanted to ensure that in whatever we do, we can have education and degrees, but we must forever be educated. Respect and understand everyone. Respect people as they are. You do not respect people because of what they have. You respect them for being human. You respect them according to their age. You respect them according to their class. King Zanozuko was kind of rude and harsh sometimes. As for us, we know him very well. But at the end of the day, he never got tired of showing love, even if kunzima. So here I want to assure you, sonke njengoba silapha is one of us ongekhoyo ngoba mncinci kakhulu. We have made peace, we have accepted. May his soul rest in peace.
Some very interesting dynamics. I know you're going to tell us what President Cyril Ramaphosa had to say, but before you do that, I wonder if you could reflect for us on some of the issues facing the Amapondo people, because certainly in the Eastern Cape there's mining rights and there's issues around that. What are some of the challenges facing this community?
It's one of the poorest communities in the Eastern Cape. Amampondo Nation are one of the poorest nations in this province of the Eastern Cape. Issues of poverty, inequality, underdevelopment. That's why those who know the late King Zanozuko Sigcau, they will recall that he's one of those traditional leaders who was pushing hard for the issue of Ekolobeni, the issue of the mining rights there. He was at the forefront. I remember very well a couple of years ago, myself and my colleague, that is Bonga Mkhize, we covered the community in Mbizo there with Minister Kwere Mantashe, whereby King Zanozuko was one of the speakers who was heckled by community members who are opposed to the development that is set to take place in that area of Ekolobeni. And King Zanozuko said, well, you can heckle me, I'm your king, I'm here for development, I want to better this nation of Amampondo. So issues of underdevelopment in the area are very visible. You can see that this area is one of the poorest areas. So you also talk about the issues of gender-based violence, by the way, issues of femicide, you know, the attack on women by men in this area. And also what used to concern him was the issue of, you know, the fake initiation schools and the death of boys in this part of the country. It's something that he spoke strongly about. So those are the issues that really dominate in this area, and those are the issues that used to be strong and feature very strongly in his agenda.
All right, and the president was there paying tribute to the late king. What did he have to say?
He described him as a beacon of hope in terms of development. He says he was a young king, very promising. He says South Africa has been robbed. Remember that the late king departs at a time whereby the institution of traditional leadership is dealing with back-to-back losses. You know, whether you talk about Amapedi King Victor Tulare, whether you are talking about Amazulu King Kutuli Zwelithini Kabheka Zulu in Mpumalanga, Inkosi Sipho Mahlangu, who was the chairperson of the National House of Traditional Leaders, also departed. Now it's King Zanozuko Sigcau of Amampondo. Those back-to-back losses have basically affected the institution of traditional leadership in South Africa. President Cyril Ramaphosa describing the late monarch as someone who had potential, saying the country has been robbed. Let's take a listen.
His Majesty's passing left many tasks unfinished and took from us a beacon of development, social norms, and values. We are called upon to take forward his mission. Ukumkani Sigcau descended from a line of heroic leaders, such as Ukumkani Faku, who stood their ground against colonialists and invaders. Much as we are saddened by his untimely departure amongst us, a young king who still held so much promise of visionary leadership amongst our people, a young king who stood for unity, who stood for development, a young king who stood for progress. I have a sense that we have been robbed. Providence has robbed us of this young king who could still have contributed so much more to the development of our country.
All right, well, thank you very much for that update. That, of course, is our senior reporter in the Eastern Cape, Sipamandla Goge.